Hey, welcome to the Joe Hoff Show. Happy St. Patrick's Day across the USA, no doubt about it. We are a Irish nation, loving nation, that's for sure. Gosh, I think everybody's Irish today, right? And I am wearing my green, I guess I'll call it my Irish tie today. Show you my spirit and I don't wear ties too often anymore. Yeah, I was just talking to Chris offline. I used to wear them all the time. Of all places, I used to have to wear it daily at the railroad. I worked in an office in downtown St. Louis for years, and then I worked at a bank for years, and wore a tie all the time. And then I, fortunately, only had to wear a tie usually visiting clients or going to board meetings, and I'd wear a tie then. Other than that, haven't had to wear a tie. Haven't had to wear much of a tie over the last few years either. So, um, anyways, don't miss it. But looking at myself, I think it looks okay, not bad. So, happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there listening. By the way, maybe you saw it, maybe not. Conor McGregor was at the White House this morning. He's going to spend the day in the U.S. talking about Ireland. He's a great spokesman for Ireland. I think he's serious about running for office there. I hope he could win. He's a real fighter, and that's what we want. The whole world wants just fighters. Conor McGregor, probably the most noted Irishman today. He's in the White House, and he lets people know what's going on there. So here's a short clip from McGregor in the White House this morning.
What is going on in Ireland is a travesty. Our government is the government of zero action with zero accountability. You know, our money is being spent on overseas issues that has nothing to do with the Irish people. The illegal immigration racket is running ravage on the country. There are rural towns in Ireland that have been overrun in one swoop, that have become a minority in one swoop. So issues need to be addressed, and the 40 million Irish Americans, as I said, need to hear this, because if not, there will be no place to come home and visit.
Great stuff there from Conor McGregor for sure. A real patriot for the people of Ireland. Yeah, if you look at the videos that I've seen coming out of Ireland, it's like they have imported so many uh, individuals from Muslim nations. You can't even recognize Ireland anymore. And it's outrageous what's going on there. And, I just started thinking about it. I actually put something up at joehoff.com saying, and just think Rosie O'Donnell decided to move there. Good luck, Rosie. Good luck. And while Trump's getting rid of illegals here, uh, Ireland's not doing the same. And those politicians there have destroyed their country. I don't know who's behind this massive immigration. What monsters? Is it the Nazis? Is it the fascists? The communists? Who's behind this that's destroying these great cultures like Ireland's and the UK, the US, um, Germany? I heard Germany's gone, France is gone. Some of these countries, Denmark, Netherlands, they're damn near gone. They've imported so many people from the Middle East. Who knows who's running in Britain? I saw this a few years back. I was there. They're saying the number one name of a child born was Muhammad. Like, what are you doing? Why are you bringing in that culture? Do you really love it that much that you want those people in your running your country? I don't know. Everybody just sits back, says, "Oh, it's fine. We just love each other." And well, you're going to find out. FO. Mess around and find out. That's what's going to happen. And I think it's about 8% of Britain's population now is these Muslims, and you got a Muslim mayor. You got a, I don't, in London, across the country. It's this. What are you guys are doing? To me, it's disgusting. I love this country. I love the United States. I love the town that I grew up in. It was beautiful, Midwestern town, and I don't think it needed to change. I think we need more of that across the world, not less. And why would we bring some violent cultures to our uh, neck of the woods when we had just a very safe and wonderful place growing up for our children? So that's what President Trump's fighting for us for. And we'll get into that here in a few minutes. But let me just remind you, and I shared this on a radio this morning out of St. Louis. We've got a big event coming up here in a couple weeks now in St. Louis. It's the United Sovereign Americans Conference. It's actually out in St. Charles. Two guest keynote speakers, myself and Ann Vandersteel. I was talking to Ann this morning. Um, and so looking forward to that very much. People there, Harry Hari, Marley Hornick, they're always looking for donations. They've done a lot of incredible work. I'm going to talk about, this will be a nice segue into my next piece, but we'll be talking a lot about United Sovereign Americans, I believe, later this week. They do great work. They've identified all sorts of anomalies in the latest elections, 2020, 2022, and now 2024, that actually absolutely prove that the elections never should have been certified in multiple states now. So we'll be hearing more about them in the future, and I'm honored to be there. Hopefully, I can see you there. If you haven't gotten a ticket already, get it. And I think there's a few left, so go for it. Hope to see you there in St. Charles. Actually, it's just outside of St. Louis, just west of St. Louis. Real nice area. So hope to see you there in a couple weeks. In addition to that, I want to bring up a couple articles I wrote this morning. One is about Orange County. Orange County is in California. There's also a big Orange County in Florida as well. I think the Florida Orange County's Orlando. The Orange County in California is just south of LA. It's a big county, and I've been talking about them quite a bit on this show and over the past few months, ever since the 2024 election. The county is one of the largest in the country. I've heard sixth largest. I've heard fifth largest. I'm not really sure. I need to look it up. But it's one of the largest. It's got millions of people there, millions of voters, 1.8 million people on their voter registration rolls, and that's a big county. And it has 6 U.S. House seats that were up for election every election, but six in that county alone. It's just south of L.A. County, one of the largest counties in the country. So big county, Orange County's always been red. And what happened in 2018 is they went to drop boxes and ballot harvesting, where anybody could grab ballots, throw them in a drop box, and then they'd count them. They'd count them, and the whole process is absolutely totally broken. And they have that still to this day, and that's why 5 out of the 6 House seats went to the Democrats, and they've been trying to validate their election ever since. A couple of these races, one didn't end up for at least 2 weeks after the election. They finally said, "Oh, yeah, the Democrat won by 500 votes." Republican was up for weeks, and they took it from her. And so 5 out of the 6 go blue. That's who's in our U.S. House. It should be swung the opposite direction. That's 5 seats overall that were in Orange County. Anyways, they had a big event this past weekend, or last week, I should say, last Tuesday, in Orange County in front of the Board of Supervisors. And the individual who presented a report from a grand jury, they called it the Orange County Grand Jury Report. And it was full of garbage, if you ask me. It shows all the supporting documentations, far left sites, just really grossly out of this world as far as being convicted towards free and fair elections. They promote, for example, this Brennan Center is a big proponent of these audits, risk limiting audits. They're just a joke. They're an absolute travesty. They do not work. So, anyways, that's a big thing they promoted out there was the Brennan Group and others in this report. And there was even an anti-Gateway Pundit report there as well, which I thought was something. And but overall, the one thing that grabbed me was in this grand jury report, which they're trying to use to support their numbers that came out of the election, is this grand jury report shows that the total number from the grand jury was 1.3 million votes, whereas they had 1.4 million votes that was certified in the county. This was raised by one of the Board of Supervisors with the Register of Voters. I've got the clip there in that piece. You can see it at joehoff.com. It's outrageous what happened there. Anyways, there's the report. There's the video. You can take a look. And one of the county supervisors asks, "Does it make sense that these don't agree?" And the Register of Voters had no answer really. Just said, "Well, it really wasn't my job to tie this down. I don't know where they got their number, they being the grand jury report. So talk about a fail. Anyways, that was last Tuesday. I got information that there may be more information coming out this week from Orange County. We will see, but I want to put that on your radar. There could be some big news coming out of Orange County in the next week or two. So keep that in the back of your mind. Another piece that I put up this morning is about Mike Sessa. Michael Sessa was arrested and he turned himself in back 33 years ago in New York City. This is when New York's finest, the DOJ, included individuals like James Comey, the corrupt James Comey, the corrupt Andrew Weissman, the corrupt Letitia James, not Letitia James, sorry, Loretta Lynch, who was Barack Obama's attorney general, you may recall. That was who was running the DOJ in New York City at the time. There was what they called mob wars going on, and Michael Sessa was caught in the middle of it, and they accused him of murder. They used a star witness that they did not tell the court who it was. They told the court the witness was valid. The witness was actually a mafia hitman who'd been involved in like maybe up to 100 assassination and murders. And Weissman was the attorney, he was the prosecutor, and they withheld information from the courts, and that was later found out, and they ended up in the cases after this one. Since this information was found out, they were all basically thrown out, and all the individuals that were indicted walked away. But not so with Michael Sessa. He sits in prison now 33 years after Andrew Weissman did some muckery in his case that would, the more I learn, the more I see, the more I just want to throw up. Michael's been sending me information on his case. Sent me a picture over the weekend that I received. I want to share this with you. This is from Michael. He says here's a picture. Maybe you can see it. Picture of Michael with his baby girl, his daughter. This is 33 years ago. It was 2 weeks before he turned himself in. His daughter now is 33 years old, and he's been sitting in prison. He's got an incredible attorney, David Schoen, who represented President Trump in his impeachment. David Schoen has jumped on this from the start, said this is outrageous. The actions of Andrew Weissman were absolutely horrific, and he needs to be held accountable. And President Trump even mentioned his name last week when he went to the FBI and talked about the absolute monsters that have been coming after him over these last few years. So, this is a story we're going to hear more of. Text some big guys this morning about some of these stories, and this story with Michael Sessa needs to be given more light, because this is an innocent man who's been unjustly punished and now for 33 years in prison. It's time for him to be pardoned, that's for sure. And so you can read more about that at joehoff.com as well. So I hope you do. This weekend, we saw a grotesque act by another Obama judge where he said that any of these illegals that are gang members, that are murderers, that are on planes being sent to El Salvador. President Trump set up an agreement with El Salvador. We will use their prisons for some of these nasty criminals, and they will make money, and the U.S. will get these people off of their, out of the U.S. And that's what President Trump was doing. He had about 300 individuals on their way to El Salvador. And they did indeed arrive, and they did indeed get picked up by the El Salvadorian government, and they were taken to prison. Here is a video clip of what happened this weekend. It came out yesterday.
César Eliseo Sortomaya.
That's El Salvador. That's how they treat those guys. Those guys, by the way, were allowed to walk into our country by Joe Biden. 300 of them alone that were sent on an airplane to El Salvador for an agreement with El Salvador. President Trump did that this weekend. As the flight was overseas, over the water, a Obama, crooked, nasty, disgusting Obama judge, I think it's Boasberg, ordered that President Trump return the planes home. You cannot remove terrorist cells from this country. You have to keep these monsters here. That's what the Obama judge is saying. It's insane. Fortunately, Trump's team's not dummies, and they looked at this and they said, "No, we can't do so. It's over international waters now. We can't turn it around." And so they sent that ship of monsters to El Salvador. Many more ready to come, and this Obama judge got to step in. Not for the good of the country, it's good of the communist China. We're working for communist China. This guy might as well say. We're working for Barack Obama, who hated this country and wanted to destroy it. That's what he wants to say. That's what he should say. Outrageous. Just outrageous. President Trump moved him anyways. I just put up a piece moments ago. A lot of people are supporting Trump on this, just like they're supporting him on the economy, just like they're supporting him on finding every single dollar that these animals stole. I saw a great piece by Dave Sachs. I think his first name's Dave, the billionaire who's working with crypto with President Trump. He was a lefty 4 years ago. Now he absolutely adores President Trump. He says what he's doing with crypto is moving it. The U.S. is going to be the country for crypto like it should have been. Biden, Obama were trying to destroy it. Everything they were doing helped China. Everything. We are the world leader, and Trump knows it, and we are moving forward. And this Sachs that couldn't have said enough nice things about President Trump. I think we showed that a week ago. Incredible meeting on crypto. Trump is getting everything right. We're fixing it. We're making America the greatest country ever. Whether it be crypto, whether it be getting rid of mass trillions of dollars in waste. And what Sachs said is he was there at Trump's speech in front of the Congress last a couple weeks ago now. And he said, and they kept putting up these signs, Elon steals. And he says, these guys are crazy. They're insane. Then I hit him. No, they believe that. They believe this money they're stealing from the government. That's theirs. Shame on Elon from taking that millions and billions of dollars away from these corrupt politicians. Shame on Elon for doing that. How could they do their business and keep funneling out of money to all these monsters without Elon stepping in here stopping their gig? It's unreal. He's right. That's what they think. They think the corruption is theirs. It's for the money's there for the taking. How dare Elon stop it? just like these monsters like this Boasberg or Boasman who rules this weekend. Oh, you've got to bring these people back. You've got to bring them back. Those 300 monsters, many of them murderers, drug dealers, disgusting people, probably can't even speak English. They have to come back to the U.S. per this Obama judge. Nobody agrees with that. Nobody. I don't want them in my neighborhood. Get them out of here. Send them to prison where they should be. They're illegal for being here in the first place. Many of them, I think, are just terrible records. And so, anyways, Tom Homan was asked this morning, actually, by Fox News, "What are you going to do? What now that this Boastman's done this? It just you got to love this guy. You got to love Trump and what they're doing. They're just moving forward with the with protecting and loving America. Watch this."
You're going to run out of money. It doesn't look like you're getting support from the Democrats on this. You're going against the judges now. What's next?
Another flight. Another flight every day. The teams are going to be out there every day. Every day, the men and women of ICE are going to be in the neighborhoods of this nation arresting criminal, illegal alien, public safety threats, and national security threats. Lawrence, you're not going to stop us. We made a promise to the American people. The President Trump has made a promise to American people. We're going to make this country safe again. I wake up every morning loving my job because I work for the greatest president in the history of my life, and we're going to make this country safe again. I'm proud to be a part of this administration. We're not stopping. I don't care what the judges think. I don't care what the left thinks. We're coming.
Boom. Very, very good. Tom Harmon, my God, is he doing a great job? And that's how it should be. Nasty judges want to stop you from doing what the president has the right to do, which is protect the American people. These leftist judges, they can really go to hell. We've got to start arresting them for. I think I was talking to somebody, and I've been thinking about this. There's crimes, and that they've charged many of these January Sixers with people that walked into the Capitol that day and went to the bathroom because there was no porta potties outside, get sentenced to 6 years for obstructing justice and interfering with official acts. Why not charge these judges with the same thing? They're actually doing it. I mean, outrageous that the president's team has to even make a decision while a flight's on its way to El Salvador because of some crooked, corrupt Obama judge. Same thing with Elon Musk. Elon uncovered every day we're finding more corruption. This came out in a clip. I saw it just this morning. Everything is unbelievable. This one will blow you away too. This is about the fraud and the corruption going on in our government that these lefties think that's their money. Elon's stealing this from them. Crazy. Here we go. Take a look at this.
One of the things you told me about is what you call magic money computers at the Treasury. So tell us about it, because I never heard of that until you brought that up.
Okay, so you may think that that the government computers all talk to each other, they synchronize, they add up what funds are going somewhere, and it's it's coherent. There's and that the numbers, for example, that you're presented as a senator, are actually the real numbers.
One would think.
One would think. They're not.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, they're not totally wrong, but they're probably off by 5% or 10% in some cases. So I call it magic money computer any computer which can just make money out of thin air. That's magic money.
So how does that work?
It just issues payments.
And you said there's something like 11 of these computers at Treasury that are sending out trillions in payments?
They're mostly at Treasury. But there's some at HHS, there's one or two at State, there's some at DOD. I think we found now 14 magic money computers.
14, okay.
They just send money out of nothing.
You guys, many of you know, I used to be a CPA overseeing a multi-billion-dollar block of business. I used to do audits around the world. That is so shocking. It's unbelievable. It's just again, in the corporate world, which is the real world, this stuff would never happen. It's just unbelievable. That we could go on and on and on about the corruption that we're finding in this government and the Biden gang. And And I tell you what, the great news yesterday was President Trump standing up against the against all that's been going on and saying, Joe Biden, that auto pin that you've been using, we don't think that's legitimate, and we're not gonna recognize any of those pardons that you signed that were signed with an auto pin. As a matter of fact, Trump even says, I don't even know if Joe Biden even knows they happened. So he's probably right. Anyways, we're going to take a quick break, but before we do, I want to just highlight one of the ads that we're going to be sharing here. It's with the Oxford Group. It's about some of the what the smart investors are doing today, and they aren't buying oil stocks. What they're doing is collecting oil royalties instead. Talking about passive income that shows up month after month, starting with as little as $25. Visit hoftoilboom.com. That's hoftoilboom.com to discover how to tap into this monthly process of receiving royalty checks from America's most productive oil basin. You don't need to be wealthy. All you need is a regular brokerage account. Again, check it out at hoftoilboom.com. We'll be right back with a special guest. Can't wait to meet her. Her name's Clare Ford, and I know a little bit about her, but I can't wait to learn more. So hang tight. We'll be right back. Hi, this is Joe Hoft. Are you looking for monthly income without the risk of stocks? Here's something you won't hear about on CNBC. There's a unique way to collect royalties directly from America's most productive oil fields. No exploring, drilling, or operational headaches. You simply collect checks month after month. The best part? You can get started with just $25 through any brokerage account. The Oxford Club's chief income strategist, Mark Lechtenfeld, breaks down what he believes is the #1 royalty play for 2025. Visit hoftoilboom.com now to learn more. That's hoftoilboom.com, hoftoilboom.com. Stop buying oil stocks and start collecting oil royalty checks now instead.
In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act.
As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage.
We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
Hi, I'm Joe, Supreme Leader of DCF. What is DCF, you ask? We're the best damn sandwich shop in the universe. Do we sell hoagies? Well, we're DCF, and the F doesn't stand for hoagies. We got 9mm sandwiches, we got beastly baguettes, and we toast buns like no other. Looking for training on bun safety? We got you covered, and our ranges are the best place to test out your new Not sandwich. So get your buns out, cause the sun's out, and let's party! We're not actually a sandwich shop.
Oh, gosh, it's such an honor to be here. Long-time listener, and it's truly an honor. Yes, so I'm an artist and a musician, singer, songwriter. My music is available everywhere on streaming platforms, but I grew up on a farm and ranch in southeast Colorado, kind of in the Dust Bowl. And my folks farm and ranch. We are a small family farm and a working farm and ranch. And I grew up seeing the extreme difficulties that our farm and ranchers have been put under for many, many decades. Going back 3, 4 decades before I was born, this all kind of started. And what's been done to agriculture directly affects the food supply of every single American. And there's so much misunderstanding and misinformation that sometimes is actually propagated by those in power about our farmers and ranchers and what's truly been done to our agriculture economy here. And massive consolidation is a real threat to every American's food supply. And I'm just trying to spread the word.
I grew up in Iowa, a town called Fort Dodge, Iowa. I grew up in the big city. You know, there was farmers that went to some, school with me. I went to Catholic school growing up my whole career, and all these other kids would come in from these surrounding towns, and I just thought we had an attitude like they were, small city people. Then you move to places around the world, you realize you grew up right in the middle of nowhere, Fort Dodge, Iowa. I had a guy in Australia make fun of me for that, but I loved that place. I loved growing up in the Midwest. It was a beautiful place to grow up. I had a Catholic school that I grew up with, and good people, great people, and the farmers were around us. And I used to work on farms. I'll tell you what, growing up, I baled hay in high school. It was a hard job, dusty. You sit behind a tractor that's pulling and shooting these bales at you, and you have to stack them. Man, your nose would be so full of hay you could couldn't hardly breathe at the end of the day. And did that. I also detasseled the corn. I don't know if you know what that is.
Oh, yes.
Bean walked as well. So and
Yes.
actually, yeah, I'm trying to think. I worked at a chicken farm for a little bit, a
Oh,
couple weeks once too.
tough
So
gigs, all tough gigs. And so I understand.
it's what you did to make some money as a kid. You just do anything, and tough work, hard work.
Yes, farming and ranching is definitely not something that most people want to do, but those who do want to do it, there's been a lot of talk these past, years and years, to where I think it's burned into the American people's mind that because of our farm bill and our farm subsidy program, a lot of Americans believe that farmers and ranchers are just kind of kicked back, making money off the taxpayer. And one thing, in understanding agriculture, I kind of equate it to eating an elephant. And how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. And the first bite that I think is important for Americans to understand is how our subsidies truly are structured and where the farm subsidy money actually goes. And you can look it up on the USDA website, ers.usda.gov. We'll show you a breakdown of our last farm bill. It's a total of $428 billion, but over 75% of the money that our politicians say is going to farmers as subsidies, 75% of the farm bill goes to food stamp recipients directly. And I love that we are a generous nation, and I love that we take care of those who need the help. But the thing that really has one of these layers that has been so damaging to agriculture is how people get on microphones and in social media and they grandstand that the farmers and ranchers are getting fat off the taxpayer dime, when that's not the case at all. And
Wow. Wow.
so that's the first bite.
I've got a clip of you talking about this, and so maybe we could. I think it's about a minute long or so. Maybe we can play that real quick. Explain more of what you just said there. So why don't you play that, Chris? Let's see what it says.
76% of the farm subsidies actually don't go to the farmers. They go to food stamp recipients. Let me explain. The total farm bill amount was $428 billion. Most Americans think that almost $500 billion went to farmers and ranchers. Couldn't be further from the truth, thanks to our lovely politicians. So what nutrition actually is food stamp recipients, or SNAP. So what happens when this over $320 billion goes into the pockets of SNAP recipients or food stamp recipients? They go into grocery stores, they buy food. Are they restricted to buy food that's made in America? Hell no. So basically what our government is doing is subsidizing foreign agricultural products, lying to the American people about where the farm bill is actually going, and villainizing your own farmers and ranchers in the meantime. One of the many misrepresentations about what's going on in your food supply, aka agriculture in America. I'm Clare Dunn. I'm an independent artist, songwriter. I make damn good music, and if you don't believe me, go check it out for yourself and let me know. My new single is Cowboy State of Mind. I'm from a farm and ranch. I'm from rural America. I'm trying to explain ag to everybody, so follow me if you want me to keep explaining ag. Love you. Bye.
That was great, Claire. That's really good. Thanks for
Thank
sharing
you.
that.
Thank you so much. It's it really, the part that really concerns me too is how much foreign food our tax dollars is paying for. And we have such an export game in a lot of ways here. We raise, especially in the beef sector, we raise the best beef in the world, and not only in my opinion, but our quality and safety standards are higher than any other part of the country. And yet the big three packers, if you want to say the big four, they are allowed, through a technicality, they're allowed to import beef from all over the world, where the safety standards, the quality standards are nowhere near Americans. They can import this beef, and just because they break it down here, they can label it as product of USA. And something that I'm trying to get people to understand is we need country of origin labeling, so that Americans can walk into a grocery store and have the right to understand where that steak came from, or that hamburger, and they can choose, oh, well, I would like to buy American made. Right now, when you see something, especially on beef, that says product of the USA, more times than not, it will not be from America. It's from some other country. And our packers are making billions of dollars every year on this scam. And they're running it not only on the American people, but on the American rancher, and driving the rancher out of business.
That's shocking. That's just disgusting to me too. Where I grew up, Fort Dodge, Iowa, years ago, there were two big meat packing plants, Hormel and Iowa Beef. They both left.
Yeah.
They wanted to break the unions. They were good paying jobs. They were hard jobs, but they were good paying.
Yes.
And they just didn't want to pay those wages anymore. So they moved out west and never came back. That was a big hit to an economy of a small town like, Fort Dodge, Iowa. And that's disappointing. I was thinking here, I've had steak around the world, some real nice steaks, Australia, Argentina, Japan, and but the best steaks in the U.S., Midwest, some of the best steaks, I'll tell you, I think are in St. Louis. I'm sorry. There's some nice restaurants there I just love. And I just love a wonderful, steak. And
Yes.
that's
And
wow.
not to disparage any of our allies out there, I have many friends in Canada and Australia and New Zealand who are producing, great quality, but the way that the American market has become owned by foreign interest and foreign people, two of the three major packers one is completely foreign owned, the other is basically foreign owned. And I'm so glad that so many Americans are waking up to the fact that China and other countries and billionaires are buying up our farm ground. But what isn't talked about enough is that our markets are already controlled by these foreign people here in America, and they've been allowed to, between these big three packers, over 85% of all the meat packing that happens in American soil is controlled by three companies. And this massive consolidation that has happened in the agriculture industry, the rancher carries most of the cost for your agriculture products. And when he sells his product, it's as cheap as it will ever be. And every time it's touched by these billionaire companies, they make double, if not triple, what the farmer made, but they have minimal expenses into the cost of these products. And those things are what is driving out the independent farmer and rancher. And if they can't afford to stay on the land, right now, we are seriously looking at other countries and big corporations and billionaires owning our agriculture producing land if something doesn't change and this message doesn't get out.
Yeah, and I'm hearing that about small farmers for sure. I just saw a video not long ago. It was about, I think it was North Carolina. They talked about pig farms and uh, what was happening was they were all of a sudden they were consolidating and big corporations were coming in and they made it easier for the corporations to come in at the expense of these small farmers. And these guys saying these farms have been in families for centuries and they're losing them because of these policies of the politicians. This thing, Claire, this hit me more than anything. It's not the American people, it's not they don't have a great product, it's always the politicians that are screwing us over, our politicians. I
Yes.
used to be overseas and we had to pay 35% tax, and we're fighting against or competing against German companies and Swiss companies in the industry I was in. They only had to pay 20, 21, 22% tax. So
Mm.
for every deal, we had to come up with an additional like 13% on the deal in order to compete. And it was our politicians that put us in that position. Only Donald Trump would come in and make it fair, and then the media here would all quote the foreigners. Oh, it's so terrible what Trump's doing. Of course they're upset. They're going to have to work now because we've had to work so hard to stay in bed. It's still growing, but it put us in such a terrible spot. So it's our politicians that are always doing this.
Absolutely. Without a doubt, they are the ones who have lied to the American people about what they have done to the American people's food supply. And it is a travesty that's been going on for decades and decades. And my goal is to educate the American people on who is lying to them. And it's not the farmers and ranchers that are lying to people, it's the politicians who have inserted these billionaire corporations into your food supply, and basically they control it. Like you were mentioning earlier, in your hometown, there used to be 2 beef packing plants. There used to be a butcher in every grocery store. There used to be small family run meat packing plants. We used to supply our beef locally into our communities. And that is something that I truly believe one day we can do again in a very safe way and a very responsible way to the American people to keep the supply chains going. But when you have 3 companies owning all your beef supply chain, that's a very serious issue for Americans, I believe. And it's something that they have been lied to decade after decade about by our politicians. And absolutely, I couldn't agree more.
Wow, that just kind of blowing me away. Who's the new Secretary of Agriculture under Trump?
Brooke
Any-
Rollins.
What do you think? Are they going to help?
I certainly hope so. I don't have enough of an opinion at the moment, but I certainly do hope so, that we don't continue with the status quo, because the status quo is what has gotten us into the trouble we're in. And not trying to sound like an alarmist or an Armageddonist, but it truly is serious. And I have great hope. So hopefully she will be great.
Well, you're so right. I was just thinking my father grew up on a farm. His family lived on a farm in Iowa, and that farm was in the family, and well, still is for centuries, really, more than a century, I guess. And they even have a cemetery on that property. It's a Hoff cemetery where
Wow.
there's my ancestors were buried. So that's which was typical, I think, back then too. A big plot of land through the Homestead Act, I guess, and been there for years. And now a lot of corn and beans processed throughout Iowa, and that's what they are doing now there. I don't know a lot about farming other than what I said, what I did as a kid to try to make a couple extra bucks during the summer, But you're talking about a really important subject to a lot of people.
Well, and like what you mentioned earlier, what's been done in the hog farming industry is what they're trying to actively do in the cattle industry. And they have decimated the hog industry. There's massive consolidation and control in the chicken industry, even worse than the hog or the cattle industry. And the cattle industry is the last bastion. And unfortunately, we as farmers and ranchers, we don't have representation in terms of organizations that are not in the pockets of these major corporations. That's another big bite of this elephant in terms of explaining agriculture, is that so many of these organizations that many Americans and even good politicians think are out there helping the farmer and rancher, they're actively working against us because this corporate greed and control has overtaken our economy in agriculture. And some friends and I are working together to try to change that, but we need mostly this message spread across as many Americans as possible, because like I said, I'm a full-time musician. I just happen to be from a farm and can explain some of these things in layman's terms, so to speak. But this message is for every American's benefit, not mine, not my family's. This is for every American to absorb and to understand what's being done to your food. Not everyone wants to go, stack hay or work cattle or run a tractor, but there are certainly competent Americans out there who want to do that. And if we had less consolidation, we can do this a lot better than these corporations, than government, and can deliver a cheaper food supply than what the Americans are facing now. The corporations are the ones making these massive profits off of the price of food, not the farmer and rancher. They're barely getting by. And in fact, we lost 140,000 farmers in the years of 2017 to 2022, or I think leading up to 2022 during the pandemic, I think. And I think I had those numbers wrong, but 140,000 farmers in the past couple years. And that's really devastating because we're already less than 2% of the population. So the more independent farmers we have, the more controlled our food supply is, and it can't be stopped by three major corporations.
Yeah, what you're saying there reminds me, I read a story about Alexander Hamilton. He and Thomas Jefferson had this ongoing battle where Hamilton, his vision was in 100 years we'd have manufacturing here in the U.S. Thomas Jefferson thought it would be a country, ran by farmers, forever. And they were battling over that for a long time. But yeah, it sounds like, the farmers, only 2% of the population. That's pretty small, and it's a hard life. These guys, the farmers I knew were some of the hardest working guys I'd ever met. This one farmer, when I'm in high school baling hay, this guy was in his 60s, and me and my buddy, we were out for track. We were really good athletes, and this farmer ran us into the ground throwing those bales around. He was a little guy, littler than us too, and some of really the hardest working people I've ever met. He had a dairy farm outside of the city I grew up in. So hard working people.
Yes, it is very challenging. We face droughts, we face blizzards, we face floods, we faced, all kinds of weather events on a daily basis just to try to do the job. And one other thing I would like to point out in terms of the subsidies and why we have those. First of all, those were not the farmers and ranchers' idea. That was the government's idea going back in the day. But the whole point of that is to keep the farmers and ranchers on the land so that when there is a decade or more of drought or years of flood or years of whatever natural disaster you want to say, the subsidy was designed to just get the farmer by in order to stay on the land. And so that, corrupt private bankers couldn't come and feast on the farmers' misfortune and force them into foreclosure and sell the land off and have, centralization that way. But the subsidies, and I have very good, reliable sources who actually are within the USDA. The farmer and rancher is not making money off of the subsidies. It is just a holdover to where they can get by and keep their operation going to produce for the next year. to bring back more crops and livestock the next year, still carrying the debt from the drought or the blizzard, whatever it was. And, you know, and then these corporations like the big three packers are there to scoop up all the profits and control the cattle market in those areas as well. So it's, you know, really quite a lot to be concerned about as an American people.
Absolutely. What do you think about Elon, or not Elon, sorry, Bill Gates and China buying these farms?
Oh, it's terrible. In my honest opinion, I don't understand. You know, I am a free market capitalist and I am a constitutional conservative, but where we are having a billionaire like Bill Gates, who also is invested in the lab grown meat, it's the two things work hand in hand. He buys up the farmland with his billions of dollars that he's made off the backs of the American people, and then he has lab grown meat. If he, you know, if this path were to continue, how convenient for him to have all this land that he can control and he can decide what's produced or not produced on it. And he's got lab grown meat that is cancer causing that he can force feed into the American public. In Oklahoma, I've seen it firsthand. China buying up massive amounts of acres. I've driven by these farms they put up, and it's terrifying. How much money and how much acres the Chinese are buying, especially in a state that went every county red in Oklahoma this past election. I'm so glad it did. But what is the future there? And I feel like there's, you know, a reason why there's been such a high concentration of Chinese people coming into a red state like Oklahoma, possibly to try to flip it. I don't know. But they're not producing the land for the American people. And especially in these Chinese farms, they're putting up these weird buildings with tents. They're growing a lot of pot and weed, and that is taking out acres of American production, farms that used to produce cattle, that used to produce corn, that used to produce wheat. Those acres are now taken out of production for the American people, and it's a foreign country over here having a self-serving industry at best. And I don't think that they should continue. And I don't think that, you know, Brazilian brothers who are convicted of bribing over, I think, 2,000 government officials, I don't think they should be able to own one of the big beef packing industries in this country. It's so much corruption that the farmer and rancher is dangling underneath and being crushed underneath. And it's very alarming. Bill Gates owns over, I think, 260,000 acres of farmland. And that's very concerning because he gets to decide what's being made or not made on those acres.
Well, it seems like what they do is nothing's made then, or maybe pot. And so if you're China, it's a great idea. If you want to destroy your enemy, buy up their farmland, start growing pot instead of food, and watch them starve to death. And Bill Gates, same thing, just starve people to death. I don't know I don't know a lot about that guy, what's going on in his head, but after COVID and stuff, real new eye opener on what's going on there in China as well. It's like this is my theory. You maybe heard me in the first segment just mention that. It's like Biden worked for China. Everything that he did seemed to help China. And that's when it seems rational. Otherwise, you think everything they're insane. But no, if you wanted to destroy America, you'd do exactly what they're doing. And certainly China, they've also, I think the thing about China too is they've never been able to feed all their people. They're an food importer and have been for a very long time. So, we're blessed here. We're just blessed with all sorts of food and the land to grow it, and to destroy it like that's insane.
Yes, absolutely. And, if we can just continue to get this message out, if I were a globalist, I would want the American farmer and rancher ran out of town on a rail, because they are the last bastion of individual owned land and property and assets that can create food for an entire nation and then some. We, the American farmer and rancher, we can feed the American people in the most efficient way on earth. And we can feed other parts of the world because our soil is great. Our ranchers and farmers are smart and astute at running their businesses. They are the most caring, naturally conservationalist type people there are. And we can do the best job there is. And if I were a globalist, I would want farmers and ranchers to be bankrupt. And I would want the majority of the people to live in these mega regions of the United States, in cities, and I'd want them off the land. And so that I could control the land if I were a globalist, and I could decide what's grown and what's not grown. And the American farmers and ranchers are definitely, we're all in the fight every day just to survive. But hopefully, I can be a small part in getting this word out just to let the American people know so that they're not lied to near as easily by these politicians who have done this to us for decades.
Fantastic, Claire. So to clarify a couple things, you can ride a horse.
Yes.
You can rope a calf, right?
Yes.
You can rope. Yeah.
Yes.
You ever ride a bull?
No, I haven't. I got on a, couple steers once when I was, younger, not very big, so, but I'm not that adventurous. But yep, we ride horses.
Do it all.
Yep, we're the real
Drive
deal.
a tractor? Drive a tractor?
I do. My sister and I growing up, we were the farm boys my parents never had. And we grew up just like my mom and my dad, driving tractors, combines, working cattle, and long days, out in the sun, and long nights in the cold in the wintertime. So, just the best possible way of life to be raised in. And I hate to see it go and be so hard for future generations to get into.
Yeah, amen. So where can we go to get find out more about you, get your music, and listen to that as well?
Yes, please follow me on all social media platforms. I'm on Getter, I'm on Truth, and I'm on all the other usual suspects at Clare Dunn Music. And I'll be posting about, agriculture, what's going on, and music as well. You can find all my music on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, just Clare Dunn. No I in Clare, and Dunn like Brooks and Dunn, but no relation. So.
Uh-huh. Well, can't wait to hear more about you. Well, thanks so much for taking your time to come with us today. It's just awesome, especially growing up in Iowa. So it's nice to have somebody like you on the show. So thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so very much for having me on. And one last plug, if you don't mind, if you go to savetheamericanwest.com, there's a way to donate that's a great group of people doing great work in trying to get this message out as well. And just thank you so much, Joe, for having me on. It's such an honor.
Oh, thank you. It's great. Thank you. Have a great day. We appreciate it. Can't wait to have you back soon. So thanks, Claire.
Thanks so much. Thank you. Take care.
And we'll be back tomorrow with another great show here on Joe Hoff Show. My God, we've got another great lineup. So thanks for being here. Have a great day. Happy St. Pat's, and we will see you then.